Hi everyone, this is Tom from the LEC, and just a quick intro. We just had the LEC Media Day, which had 3 of the teams still in the running for the LEC Playoffs present, where we could ask questions during press conference. And among the present team members were people like Larsen, Reckless was there, Grabs was there, Jankos was there, and a bunch of other people as well. So the press could ask questions, pre-submitted questions. I do apologize that the first part got lost. In the first 2 questions, I had a bit of trouble with my audio. Basically, I was being a boomer. And I have written down the answers though. Mithy said he would like to face G2 in the finals because of the rivalry. And Larsen was asked what he was thinking about Worlds, and he said that for now he was mostly focused on the playoffs matches that he still had left to play. So I hope you enjoyed the LEC press conference. I recorded all of it, and yeah, here you go.
And I think we misplayed in some scenarios. I think Miffy would say the same for his team, that they didn't play perfect. So I think it's just about getting cleaner about how you want to snowball or adding something to it, but I don't want to go too much into detail. But we for sure did not underestimate them. I think the double elimination bracket gives my players a chance to be a bit too, let's say, relaxed going into a series, but usually against Fnatic that's not the case. So I would just say on that day, they were a better team. They deserve the win. But if we get to play them again, of course, I think that will change.
That's a good answer. Next up, we have a question for Rogue. This is quite the run compared to last split. What specific lessons did you take from the spring when thinking about your playoffs run this time around?
I think we just had a look at ourselves in spring and kind of what style we wanted to play moving forward in the summer. We had a big target about like practicing more efficiently as well. I think kind of a combination of these 2 things and a little bit of help from the meta, it suited us for sure. Then we kind of ran away with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have a question from Adele at Invin Global. And this is a long one for you, Mithy, but I will read it very quickly. Looking back at the team's performances this year, they had a pretty strong spring showing, only to have a slump before the playoffs. From a coach's perspective, what can you tell me about the first impressions you had of the team when you first joined them? How about your perspective as the summer split proved a bit more complicated during the season and the solutions that were brought, independently of changes that have yet to take effect?
Can you try me again? Can you do like the first part of the question and I'll answer that first?
Yeah, absolutely. From your perspective, what was your first impression of the team when you joined them?
My first impression of the team was it was a very talented roster, a lot of ideas, and felt like just like a very deep understanding of the game, like especially mid to late game. So it was a very interesting team for me to work with, and that's kind of the reason why I stopped playing, is because I just wanted to keep pushing that strategic part of the game, and I felt that if I joined a lower tier team, I wouldn't be able to do that. So
yeah. And I guess the second part of this question from Adele is, how has your perspective of the team changed as the summer split occurred?
Well, I think everyone in Europe has gotten a lot better at understanding most of the fundamentals of the game. And I think that we came to like understand or like be aware of some of our limitations as a team, and I think it was more about navigating our way through them and slowly working on some while leaving others for a different time. So it was hard, yeah. And on top of that, there's the whole drama of being in Fnatic and things not going well, so the pressure is on, and it can get crazy, but yeah, we managed to pull through, so very happy.
That's awesome. Also, everyone, we now have Jankos, who has managed to make it. Thank you for joining us, Jankos. I hope you can hear me and your tech problems are sorted. Oh, you're muted if you're trying to speak to us, but I'll give you a second to continue figuring out your tech. And we'll move on to the next question. Lara from Invin has a question for any of the players. What are some of your expectations playing at a new setup during Worlds? Larson, do you want to start out?
Well, I guess I'm the only player that can talk. Wait, what was the question again? I kind of forgot already.
What are some of your expectations playing with a new setup at Worlds?
New setup, you mean in stage, I guess, and not online?
Lara, do you want to specify?
I meant online, yeah. To have a completely new environment, so different than the previous Worlds.
Well, I haven't played in previous Worlds, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought too much about Worlds. I just know that it would be really fun. I don't know what setup or something. I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure what to answer.
Yeah, this question would have been more suited for Jankos or for Boipo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hi.
yes,
Yeah,
Finally.
nice, dude. We have it. Nice. Okay, so I don't care much. I think it's fine to probably play at Worlds. I think playing online has been very underwhelming in my opinion. Not saying that because we lost to Fnatic, but could be the issue, of course. And I think that it will be like much more fun to play online again. Sorry, offline. And I think it will be possible in Shanghai, hopefully. And I know that most of the LCK teams were playing offline. Right now, of course, LCK is online, and most of the LPL teams, had finals and everything offline as well. So I'm pretty happy to come back on stage, and I don't think it should hinder our performances as European teams to play on stage again. I would even say that it could make us more excited and like really eager to prove ourselves. So personally, I'm pretty happy with how the Worlds are gonna go, except for the pre-Worlds routine, quarantine and everything. But I mean, this is the world right now, so we just have to get through it.
Thank you, Jankos. It's awesome to have you
you.
join us. I think we also have Reckless who's here for Fnatic. So Reckless, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you want to take this question too?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. I just came like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, sure thing. The question is, what are your expectations for playing at a new setup during Worlds?
I think we're a team that benefits from playing on stage, so I would say I have pretty good hopes for playing at a different setup. I don't think we're one of the teams that suffer from this whole pandemic situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to keep on moving us along, though, Jankos, we do have one question for you that I'll come back to at the end. Next up, Alejandro from Full Esports. This is a question for Grabs. We know that Perks and Caps can play in bot and mid lane as well. Could we see a lane swap if it was necessary?
Yeah, I think we kind of brought this issue on ourselves, but for now, Perks is AD, Caps is mid, and maybe we have something prepared, maybe we don't, but this would not be the place for me to share that for you. So I guess you have to find out when you play on stage or at Worlds, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we have a question for Javier. What is Fnatic going to prepare for Shanghai's bubble? Are you going to travel as soon as possible?
Well, we are not preparing anything special. We are just following Riot instructions for this, and I think they will disclose them as soon as they are public. Right now, we just know that we will go sometime in advance, and we will have to quarantine there in order to be safe and have this bubble system where no one with corona can enter, and we will get tested before. But yeah, apart from that, we will try to make the daily routine as easy as possible for all our members, because quarantine can be hard in a hotel. So
yeah, definitely. For Rogue, another one for Larson. You joined Rogue last year. Do you think any time that you'd be in this situation where if you beat G2, you could win the LEC trophy?
Honestly, I didn't think we would be this good already, that we would compete at the top when I joined last year, because we're kind of an academy team, and we kind of sucked at the EU Masters for 1 year ago, where we went out in groups. So I didn't have that high hopes, but I knew that we had some talented players, and yeah, I mean, it's just really nice to compete at the top, and hopefully we can stomp G2 in the week.
Yeah, we'll find out soon. Next up, Paul from the Kip, another one for Jankos. Do you feel that you played below the level expected against Fnatic, or did they surprise you by playing better than you thought? And what can you fix for this weekend?
So I think this is a pretty difficult question. I think for sure Fnatic did play a good game against us. I do think that they inted quite a lot though. So in my opinion, we lost it. I mean, it's always an excuse, right? But in my opinion, we lost the games more than they won them. So I definitely feel very confident going into the weekend against both Rogue and Fnatic. That being said, though, I think both teams have been performing insanely well, and both junglers are like super skilled, and it's not going to be easy to beat them. I guess the expectations are that we will still take the final, unless people think Fnatic or Rogue are better now. I don't even know really, but I think we'll have like a really good BO5 against Rogue, and hopefully we'll make it against Fnatic, and then also have a BO5 against them. But yeah, about the weekend games, I just think that we choked a lot, and after watching them, I think we did beat ourselves quite a lot, and we made a lot of mistakes that were like cringe to watch in the hindsight. So hopefully we can fix it for next week and just be more mindful about the decisions we make and the drafts we do, and just everything about the game basically.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. For Fnatic, Mithy and or Reckless in this case, despite a rough season, we've seen a very good Fnatic against G2 last weekend. How do you explain this step up? And is there a technical and mental boost for both you and G2 when you play against each other?
I think Martin probably should answer this one.
Sure. So I think for sure when we play G2, we want to win more than otherwise. Not to say that we don't usually want to win, but there's always this extra thing when you play against them. So I would say we probably played better than this rough season has led us to believe ourselves even. So it was a good weekend for us, but I don't think it's like something we could only do once. I think for sure it could happen again this weekend, and for sure it could happen again at Worlds. So for us, it's just about keeping the ship going forward, keeping our identity that we have now found with Oscar being the main guy of the team, and making sure everyone's happy with that, because it can be tough as well on others to take a backseat role. I don't think it's something a lot of people are actually comfortable with. So we need to make sure everyone's still happy in the team as well.
Well, thank you for that very thorough answer. Next up, we have Juan from Millennium. This is another one for grabs. Judging by all the things that happened this year so far, what are the positives that you'll be taking from it to Worlds? What are the things that have worked out this year better than 2019?
Kind of hard to find positives in this year. The big tournament MSI didn't happen. We didn't have the chance to compare ourselves and learn from other teams' best, other regions' best teams. I guess compared to last year, though, we as a team made better steps at making sure we have good mental health going to the tournament. I think we had obviously longer breaks than usual. We took time off and made sure our players feel rested going into the tournament. Also this time around, we actually will boot camp, have quarantine in China, and we'll prepare in Asia. That means also preparation will be way better than last year. So on those 2 points, I think we are on a better standing than last year. But of course, it's really hard to say what region right now is on top. So it will be interesting to see the first set of scrims. Besides that, it's just hard to see anything really positive. But as Janko said before, that's the world we live in right now. So we can't complain.
Thank you for the answer. Next up, we have a question for Freddie from Rogue. Rogue's remarkable improvements this summer, neither of the players nor you as a coach have been awarded. What value do you place on this type of recognition, and did it affect your morale or that of the players? And I think this is specifically referring to the LEC awards.
Yeah, the awards. I mean, not really. I mean, with Coach of the Split, it's really hard to know. Like, there were a couple of good candidates that you could vote for, right? So Mac winning, I think, is like completely fine and justified. For the players, I mean, they were really close as well, but I mean, it's like a shame for them. I think that we played really well in a lot of roles, and I would have liked some of them to get more recognition, but yeah, it is what it is. It's nothing to do like affecting our morale or anything.
All right. Next up, we have Steven from Esports Club, another one for grabs. Did you think that the other teams, SK, Mad, and Rogue, got stronger this split, or did you guys, Fnatic and Origin, just not show up?
I think it's a mix of both. It's very evident that the lower tier teams like Mad and Rogue elevated the league at the level of the league, and they are for sure stronger than last year. At the same time, I believe that Fnatic and ourselves look to find kind of an identity or change some stuff in the structure that had high impacts on our performance. So it goes both ways. Ultimately, though, I do believe it was more than that us and Fnatic did not show peak performance. So yeah, Origin, of course, is an entire different story. So basically, Matt and Rogue got better, but I think also us and Fnatic just choked harder than we should have probably in regular season, or didn't care enough. I'm not sure what they would say to that, but yeah, we definitely did not have 100% showing the entire split.
Moving on then to Mithy. Can you describe the emotional roller coaster you've been through last Saturday during the series?
Wasn't really a just taking one game at a time and understanding that the series wasn't going to be easy, and yeah, just trying to adapt within the series and try to understand like what was going. At the end, felt relieved that more.
Bad. Mithy, I think you have issue connections with your headset.
We're losing you,
The
Mithy.
cable.
You're breaking in and out. It sounds like your headset might be becoming unplugged.
Maybe the cable, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's not the cable, so.
I think you sound a bit better now.
Not really? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it wasn't really a roller coaster for me. I was just taking one game at a time and trying to, like think things through during the series and adapt and just staying focused in the process. I knew it was not going to be an easy series, so it wasn't like very exciting for me to win game 1 or lose game 2. I was just trying to empathize with the guys and hope that, like the little time I have between the games, I am able to have an impact. And yeah, that's it. At the end, when we won, it was nice, but I was just happy that the guys managed to, take that thorn off their skin, or I don't know how to call it, like being able to beat Fnatic and believe that it's possible. I think it's an important step for us, but like nothing really matters unless you win the final. So it wasn't like a very extraordinary moment for me.
All right, thank you for that answer, and thanks for bearing with us with the tech problems. So now we will move on to the open Q&A in a second, but I'm going to backtrack to the very first slide for the question for Jankos that we skipped. And this was this one. Jankos, which jungler are you looking forward to facing the most, and how do you feel about the more aggressive style other junglers play? I think this is specifically about Worlds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's pretty exciting. I think that Karsa has been playing much different compared to his RNG performances. There's also Kanavi, of course, and Canyon. I always knew Canyon is really, really strong because I did play Damwon in scrims, and everyone kind of says that Damwon in scrims is pretty insane. And every year we play Damwon, like both 2019 and 18 at Worlds, we had issues in scrims against them. We always get like really, really outperformed, to call it nicely. And I think these are 3 junglers that I'm like really looking forward to play the most. Of course, they play different jungle style than me currently, but it's also not something that will most likely change on the world, since Zed is getting nerfed, I believe, next patch. So if that was one of like the picks we played in the series against Fnatic, if that's like not really playable in the jungle anymore, then we'll have to shift into different picks like the Graves that they play in Asia, like the Kindred, like the Hecarim or Eve or whatever, right? So I just think that it's going to be fun to adapt, and it's going to be fun to try a new thing. And it does seem like Jungle's role is pretty farm heavy right now, and more about like carrying the team instead of being the guy that always like supports the team from the shadows. So basically these three players, and probably I have to adapt a few things in the team.
Well, thank you for that. That was actually the last of our pre-submitted questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If any of you have questions that you'd like to ask, please raise your hand. And I actually believe that Sue had the first ones. I'm going to put you on the spot, Sue, if I can find you. And if you would like to go first.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Hi, guys. My question is for the three players who are here. I wanted to know what was the toughest challenge you faced this split, and how did you overcome it?
Who wants to go first? Or should I?
You go first.
So I feel like I misspoke a bit earlier, but basically what I wanted to say, this was during my first question, was that I feel like we're a team that benefits a lot from playing on stage. So in that regard, you asked me about Worlds earlier, and I thought once we get there, it's actually going to be good for us. And in the same vein, we've kind of been suffering a little bit from this whole pandemic. I feel like I kind of said we didn't, but I think we have. And for me, that has been the toughest part of the summer. It's just been not good for us as a team to play from home. We've been trying now in the last 2 weekend games to change the atmosphere a little bit by going to a place nearby instead. So you still get the whole pack up your gear, unpack your gear, come together before the game. It's a bit of a different vibe, sort of similar to what you'd have if you were to go to the studio. So I think for us, that's just been the toughest part, dealing with the whole playing from home and not getting the excitement from the fans.
Thank you, Reckless. Jankos, Larson, either of you want to give an answer?
I think Larson should go next.
Yeah. I mean, the regular split wasn't, there wasn't any big challenge, but after we got stomped against Fnatic, we realized we needed to change our playstyle a lot, right? Since Inspired kind of played dog junglers whole split, and we didn't really play carry junglers at all. And so we just realized we need to change our playstyle a lot because Fnatic just stomped us with the carry jungler playstyle, right? So I think that was the biggest challenge, just that we need to adapt a lot and adapt to a new patch that came with the playoffs patch. And I think we did pretty well last week, so hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, I think for us it was two challenges. I think first of all, of course, struggling to get to playoffs was never the case in our team. So just the fact that we actually had to sweat for it and try really, really hard by the end of Summer Split was kind of difficult for us because we are used to chilling before playoffs and taking it easy, but we couldn't do it this time. We actually had to try very, very hard after bad performances during the early season. And then, of course, losing to Fnatic, like Rogue mentioned before, it sucks, when you lose to a team. So we, I suppose, had to rewatch the games and rethink our approach to the game. Not necessarily change everything how we perceive the game, but adapt in a way where our drafts will be more unpredictable again, and adapt in a way where our style can be mixed between playing the aggressive jungle style or farming for late game jungle style. And I think both can be played currently in the meta. It just depends what are you looking for in the game or how you want to win the game. As it was showcased on the weekend, they did scale very well. They did have really good team fights, but at the same time they also were losing early games hard. So I think it just kind of depends how we approach the game. But that being said, probably the harder one was losing to Fnatic. I couldn't sleep all night. It was really sucked, But that's after every BO5 you lose, it just really blows for 2-3 days, and then you get over it, and then you just try to be the best again. So we are on a good track right now again.
Well, thank you three for those answers. Next up, we have Tom. Make sure you unmute yourself when you speak.
I would say for us, the biggest difference we had this best of 5 in comparison to other best of 5s against G2 was that we had a really good mental state of the team. I guess, simply put, previously we would have troubles losing games to G2. And I feel like this time we were much better at handling the losses and we could still bounce back. I think the series went, basically we started taking the first win and then they took theirs, we took ours, they took theirs, we took ours. And I don't feel like that's something that would happen previously. So if we were to play them now on Sunday or even other best of 5s that we might play in the future, I think it's important we remember that we all need to be present for every single game and not just the first one or up until we lose.
Yeah, I think for us it's quite the opposite. I think when playing as Fnatic, we always wanted to overperform and show that we are the better players, the better individuals. And as much as it can help you sometimes in cases where maybe you don't have as much confidence, for example, in Spring Split, when we played Fnatic in the final, they were like the team to beat in playoffs. They didn't really drop a game, I think, and they kind of like stomped everyone. And meanwhile, we lost to Mad Lions, and we had to go to the finals through through the lower part of the bracket. So I think back then, since everyone like tried to perform really hard, everyone was like focusing on draft or how we can make the game plan better. We did have like a pretty good approach to the games, and we did manage to not really drop a game. And I also felt like, yeah, it was probably easier to play back then than it was right now, because it did feel like they were struggling more and more every game we played. And I think right now we did make a lot of weird decisions in the game that we are not really making usually, and I am not sure if it is because they did pressure us harder than usually, or if that's because we try to overperform and overreach our boundaries. But I think if we kind of go cool-headed into the weekend, it will not matter if we play against Fnatic or Rogue. I think we can beat both these teams. That being said, though, I think that every time we face Fnatic, we really want to win. So nothing will really change for the future. I think just this team is like special, like you really want to win, and it hurts. It hurts double when you lose to them. So just it is what it is.
Same.
Right. I think next up we have Ashley, if I can find you. There you are.
Oh, wow. Hi.
Hi.
My question is to Fnatic Reckless. Hey, Reckless, you're now a regular at Worlds, and there will be some familiar faces such as Jaculov returning to Worlds. Is there any particular AD carry or bot lane that you would like to face at Worlds? And I think people are also quite interested to see Reckless Deft rivalry being brought back up ever since 2015. So what are your specific thoughts on that matchup against Deft?
I feel like playing Def this time will be much different than previously. I always felt before like I was some sort of like step below him, or I don't know, there's a better word for this, but I always felt like I was just below him in a way. And I think this time it's maybe different. Maybe now we're on more equal footing. So it's going to be interesting to see if I can actually put up a fight rather than before, when I would just basically fall over. And for Jaculov, I would say it's kind of the same. Again, in 2018, I felt like in hindsight I was just below him. So I would like to see now if I'm more on equal footing.
Thank you for that answer. Next up, we have Nicholas. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. I will come back to you, Nicholas.
Oh, no, I have it. I have it.
All right,
perfect.
perfect.
I don't know. Okay, so this question is to probably all the players and coaches. So if you have something to say, just say something. If you don't, then it's fine if you don't. Going into Worlds, now that we didn't really have any international competition this year, so we don't really know how regions stack up against one another, but China is like usually still seen as the strongest region. So how well do you think Europe can perform against China at Worlds this year?
I can start if no one really wants to say anything. So we did have like a bad experience with China last year, but we did beat RNG in 2018. And I think China as a region is very strong. I think it's because well, you can say that their style is different. I don't actually think their style is much different. I just think that they contest a lot of objectives or camps or everything around the jungle, and that's why we have so bloody games in China. And I think what the biggest difference between like China and Europe and LCK is that in China, everyone is like peaking in team fights. Like everyone is like playing it pixel perfect often, and this is something you don't always see in Europe. People choke or make misplays in team fights, and I think also China is really good at playing for their junglers, and their junglers tend to be very strong. Currently, most of them are imports. I don't think there's any Chinese jungler actually at Worlds, but that being said, they contest like every crap, every objective, every Raptor camp, which also fits their style of playing with all the Graves, Kindred, and all the kind of farm into like snowball junglers. And personally, from my point of view, it's pretty exciting to play against that style because it's something we don't actually do at G2. So maybe that will force us to try a new style or force us to adapt in a way where we can become stronger. But at the same time, I think we can definitely match them on every position and during laning phase. And I also think we can match them in macros. So it will probably come down into who can like out team fight who, or maybe who can be sometimes smart on the map. But currently the meta is more about fighting. So gonna be a lot of bloody games, but should be fun to watch.
Any other takers for that one, or can I move us along?
I would just like to mention that I think one of the most fun parts of playing Chinese teams or Asian teams in general is just how good the players are individually. Sort of what I mentioned briefly with Jackalov and Deft. In the moment when I played these guys back in the day at previous Worlds, I would always feel like I would either have their number or I'd be fine playing up against them. But in hindsight, it would turn out to be that I was not on equal footing. So I just think it's like super interesting to see every year when you go if you are good enough at the game to go up against these guys. And I think that's where they shine most of the time. A bit like what Janko said, they always play pixel perfect in team fights and make a lot of good decisions on the map. So it's just super interesting to see if you can keep up with them.
I can say something. I mean, I've never played at Worlds, right? So I'm not sure how good the Asian teams are. But obviously, I heard about how Damwon stomped G2 and Screams and all these stories about how good the Asian teams are. So for me, it will be really fun to see how I match up against the Asian teams. And hopefully, we can be as good as them. And if not, then I will learn a lot, hopefully. So
if I may, I'm sorry to like interrupt you, but if I may give you a hint, just like don't book Damwon like too much, like just give yourself a break when you book Damwon. When you book Damwon scrims, you should like scrim them like 2 days and then like maybe not scrim for like a week, so you can just get over it and like.
Yeah, I shouldn't scrim them before game days, probably.
All right, well, thank you for those answers, everyone. I'm going to keep moving us along because I know we're short on time. Next up is Steven from Esports Club.
Yeah, I have a question for maybe Mithy is better. I had Repo, but Mithy is better, I think. When I watch back the voice comm videos of Fnatic, I noticed that there's not really a noticeable in-game leader. It's just everybody working as a group and communicating. So what are we doing? What are we going to do next? Are we hunting or not? What objective are we going for? Is that a specific choice from you or from the players? Or is there an in-game leader, but is it just when the game starts, everybody starts talking? How do you see that?
No, there's no in-game leader. I guess it's a team choice. Yeah, I think we have a lot of passive leaders in the team, and everyone just steps up whenever it's needed. And I think, generally speaking, I think it works quite well, honestly. And it gives a lot more space and creativity to every individual. So, yeah, I mean, when it works, it works. When it doesn't work, it's rough. But I think it's honestly in League of Legends, I've never really seen many leaders that really step up when things aren't working. So I think this way is better for sure.
All right, thanks.
All right, moving us along quickly. I have Thomas from Millennium.
Yes, sorry, I don't have the webcam. But my question is for, I think, Reckless and Yankos, because I listened to the voice comm of G2 and Perks said that the best of 5 between G2 and Fnatic was a banger. And I would like to know that beyond the result and the usual rivalry between Fnatic and G2, did you enjoy that match more than other best of 5 you played recently?
I would say I always enjoy our best of fives against G2 more than other best of fives. For example, last year, even though we lost both in the upper bracket final and the grand final of the summer split, we still had like 2 amazing series. And even though it hurts in the moment, I always feel like it's something amazing to be a part of. So I don't really mind so much, even if we were to lose at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is so exciting, especially if it goes to 5th game, because then there's like so much stress and so many emotion going through your head, but you really want to focus on the game. And then depends on the result. You either feel really heartbroken after, or you feel really happy. And this week and I wanted to like puke at the same time as like cry, and at the same time as like just end my misery, you know. But it's super fun in the moment, and the fact that you have to like try your best as well. If it's not a quick swipe, you have to think of like so many ways of, you know, adapting over games, and you know your opponent, so it's not easy in game. And whenever you make a good play and you get a lead and you feel like a little bit happier inside, it's so rewarding. So I would say it's pretty fun feeling, yeah. Up until your Nexus explodes for the third time, then it really blows. So yeah, I just don't recommend having the feeling of like you're 3 times against one team in a BO5. It's not fun.
Thanks.
All right. We only have time for 2 more questions because we're already at the end. So I'm just going to quickly get through them. Next up, we have Jessica.
Hi, yeah, this is for the players. Just wondering, what's the one thing you're proudest of this season so far?
Any takers?
I can go
yeah,
first if you want.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I would say for us, the fact that we managed to overcome, first of all, the pandemic, but also our identity crisis. I feel like after we lost the spring finals to G2, we kind of had a thing in the team where we didn't really know what to do anymore. And as you could see in the regular season of summer, we kind of almost missed out on even making playoffs and potentially worlds. So we were in a really tough spot, and I feel like it was really cool to see that we could, even in that moment, figure out what we need to do next. And in that case, that was to make Oscar the main guy of the team. And I think that's something, at least I've even had happen in previous rosters that we haven't managed to do. So it was cool to see that even during the toughest of times, we could still come together and make up a good solution for our issues.
Yeah, I can go next. I mean, I'm just happy that we played consistent to split, because we ended last split like very badly. We played quite bad end of last split. So I'm just happy that we came back and that we're playing well and that we reached worlds. Yeah, I mean, I was happy that we came back from last split because we were kind of bad.
Incos?
Yeah, for us, it's probably making playoffs, honestly. I mean, I don't really think we had any team cohesion issues, and even when we were losing, we were like, I mean, of course, unhappy, right? You can't really be happy after losing, but we kind of knew why are we losing. We are just like not practicing as hard as we could have, and we are dropping a lot of games because of it. And it got to a point where it was really, really stressful to actually get to playoffs, because we just had to win like every single game in the last 2-3 weeks. So I'm really happy that happened, and I'm really happy we could pick up the slack in playoffs, and yeah, go strong.
All right. So now we have time for one last question, and that is from Benedict.
Hi, sorry, I don't have a cam also. This is towards the coaches and managers. Could you tell us what the boot camps and preparation in China is going to look like, and what atmosphere you're going for there? Thank you.
Anyone want to start us off on that?
I guess I can go first. This world's kind of awkward because I think there's no team that actually can have individual like say and what to do, because we all have to go through the same quarantine process. So not being able to see your teammates will also impact just the overall mood. So I think it's going to be really hard, and managers specifically have to be really creative to find ways to get players together, even though they're in different rooms. Then of course after the 2 weeks it will be easier, but it's going to be like preparation we never had before. because especially at boot camps, you want to be together, you want to go through reviews, you want to show what you actually mean in the replays, and now it's not possible. So it will be a really, really rough operation, I believe, for every team. That's just from us here.
Look, I think overall it's going to be tough that we have to deal with all the safety measures. Of course, safety first, that's really important to us. But then also traveling to another region, it's only fair, you know, last time the other teams had to deal with jet lag and so on. We will have to deal with that now in China. But I guess all teams, us included, we're doing our very best to be really well prepared for this scenario.
One from Fnatic wanna chime in there?
I mean, from our side, as I said, it's like still waiting on some transparency or some information from Riot in order to understand better how everything is going to look like. Even though that we already know certain stuff, as we said, like the 2 weeks quarantine, isolated, and not being able to see each other, which are of course big barriers. In that sense, from our side, we are just, when we are there on site and we have a more clear plan on how everything is going to look like, what kind of setup we are going to have in the rooms and things like that, we will have to play around that. We are trying to, from our side, to work in a healthy plan for the players in order to keep them with some activities all together and some activities for them and suggestions. So yeah, that's what we are doing right now. But again, until we have more information on Riot side, we will not be able to have a clear solution. And also we are very tight in a schedule and we are very focused on the trip that we have ahead and of course in the final that we have ahead.
All right, well, thank you for those answers. And that actually takes us over our time limit.